Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start our program. I want to say good afternoon to some, and it's actually morning for others. Again, my name is Darlene Drew. I'm a member of the Georgia Laws of Life Board, and I'm also a Rotarian of the Peachtree City Rotary Club. I want to thank all of you for being here today. It's great to have all of you here and those who are also here joining us virtually. I have the great pleasure to serve as your MC for our luncheon this afternoon as we celebrate students, teachers, Rotarians, sponsors, and friends for another successful year through the Georgia Laws of Life. I stand as a representative voice of Rotarians here to celebrate the work of students, teachers, families, and friends for all that you've done. The time that you've spent, whether it was writing an essay, reading, and/or judging them. We all know that it has been time well spent. All for the purpose of continually affording students an opportunity to share their stories, to reap some benefits for bringing their story from being contained within them out for so many people. Over the years, thousands of students have participated and have been affected by the Georgia Laws of Life. And it's not only the students, the amazing teachers whom already have a full plate of responsibilities. Yet, they embrace the Georgia Laws of Life. It is a demonstration of the kindness of your hearts and a spirit of service. Many teachers have shared reading a student's essay and how it brought to light something so vital about the students that they didn't otherwise know, and how learning about the students from reading the essay has so improved those relationships. But for the laws of life, the teacher and the readers may not have heard that story. More importantly, students might not have come to the realization of something impactful within them had it not been for the experience of writing that essay. The Georgia Laws of Life is life-changing, not only for thousands of students, but also for families, teachers, Rotarians, and countless others. Today, we want to celebrate all of you. I now want to begin our program by introducing the next two speakers. The first is a student.
I think I was muted.
That student is Wade Hampton Chapel. Hampton is a statewide fourth runner-up from last year's contest. He's a junior at North Springs High School. Hampton plays outside linebacker on a Spartans football team along with running track and field. He lives with his parents, his two lovely sisters, I thought I'd add that, his two lovely sisters in Sandy Springs. Following Hampton, we will hear from our very own Beth McIntyre.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hampton Chapel, and I would like to thank you all for allowing me to participate in the Laws of Life essay contest. What I first took to be nothing more than another school assignment ended up allowing me to reflect on several experiences that I believe helped define who I am today. This contest has challenged me to delve into the key morals that are so often neglected in today's environment. I can safely say that I've learned a lot, not just from writing my own essay, but by reading the works of my fellow participants. I feel honored to be able to share my story with you today. Occasionally, something will happen that really alters your view on both your environment and the people around you. This happens when you least expect it, at a friend's party, a high school football game, or in my case, a fast food restaurant. Little did I know, this diner would show me a new perspective and teach me that a little act of kindness can go a long way. It was the winter of my freshman year, and I was traveling with my church's youth group back from a retreat in northern Georgia. Coming off what might have been the best weekend of my life, I was absolutely ecstatic, yet with a tinge of remorse as it ended. Our church had rented a cabin in the mountains where we spent 3 days swimming in frigid water, playing basketball, and just having a blast. It was a lengthy drive back. After being on the road for almost 3 hours, our leader decided that it would be a good time to break for lunch. However, the place we stopped in was a rural area where we would usually have settled on a more mainstream Chick-fil-A. The smaller fast food chain Cookout was our only option. Walking into the restaurant, I didn't heed much attention to my surroundings as I was too busy messing around with the friends that I'd gone on the trip with. Blindly, I stumbled into line, and before I knew, I was up to order. That was when I first locked eyes with my server. I was about a head taller than her, and she looked about in her mid-40s, yet her small stature did not stave her off from wearing the biggest smile I had ever seen. As I ordered, one thing that stuck out was how amicable she was to me. So against my usual judgment, in a fast food restaurant, I laid a couple dollars on the counter that I had left from the trip. To my surprise, she was incredibly grateful, mentioning that it was the first tip she'd ever received. And as I walked away, that smile seemed to change into a friendlier, more personal expression. A bit disoriented, I headed to the restroom to wash my hands. However, immediately as I stepped back into the restaurant, I realized that the environment had changed completely. Everyone was gathered around the counter, and with the cashier that had taken my order crying. Confused, I looked around to see what the problem might be, only to see my good friend approach me with an equally surprised expression. I asked what was up, and apparently, after I tipped the lady, the rest of our youth group had begun to chip in and do the same. Eventually, after my youth leader himself had given her a whopping $20, she began to tear up and tell us about the struggle she was going through. Apparently, her father had been diagnosed with skin cancer, and she was in a tight spot in providing for her family. Although the experience was very moving for each one of us, it was clear that we had to hit the road. Upon getting back onto the bus, several of my companions gave me plaudits for beginning the encounter. They felt wrong, as I hadn't done much, but it made a huge impact on both the cashier and our group as a whole. But if there was one moral that I learned from that event, it was that a good deed can leave a huge impact. This experience, in which an act of courtesy helped out a struggling woman, taught me that a little kindness can go a long way. Just a couple dollars, a simple appreciation of good service, significantly benefited a person in need. Without that event, I would be a very different person in the way I viewed the world around me. So remember, a small act of kindness can go a long way, as you never know what others are going through. Do your best to provide support to those around you, because a tiny act of courtesy can be deeply moving for both you and others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hampton, for reading your essay. The students that speak here each year are truly inspiring. I'm Beth McIntyre. I usually like to start with a joke when I speak at meetings, but today I don't think I will. One of the reasons I like to tell jokes is that they create positive energy. But the reason we're here today, the Laws of Life Essay Contest, creates its own positive energy. It has a positive impact not only on students, but their family, friends, teachers, and even Rotarians. And I think my friends would tell you that you're not missing too much if I don't tell you a joke anyway. So I understand we've got some Zoom participants. I wanted to thank you guys for being here, and we can see you on the big screen. Thank you. We've got teachers here today. In addition to the challenges that you face every school year, you've got a new challenge this year. How are you going to ensure that students are successful in this strange new learning environment? Every day presents new challenges and the stress that goes with them. A recently released survey of high schoolers found that a large share of teens struggle with depression, anxiety, and unhappiness during the school closures due to the coronavirus pandemic this spring. To help students get the year started off in a positive place, many of you will focus on social emotional learning programs. Social emotional learning helps students develop the emotional skills to build personal relationships and academic partnerships. This enables them to endure personal challenges such as economic instability and the sense of isolation that we all feel today. The Georgia Laws of Life Essay Contest provides teachers with powerful tools to promote social emotional learning. In her book, The Upside of Stress, Dr. Kelly McGonigal reviews years of research and concludes what those of us involved in the Laws of Life essay contest already know, that writing about personal character values is highly beneficial for students. McGonigal and her colleagues concluded that writing about values makes people feel more powerful, in control, and strong. It also makes them feel more loving, connected, and empathetic. Strong emotional health also leads to improved academic outcomes. We've also got Rotarians here today. Research has shown that social emotional learning is most effective when repeated and supported by a broad network of family, community, and social reinforcements. Rotarians made the Georgia Laws of Life contest their own because the contest is so compatible with Rotary's interest in community, education, ethics, and literacy. As a Rotarian, I've seen the benefits of the contest firsthand. It is one thing to be told statistics about homelessness, suicide, bullying, and other challenges that high school students face in today's world. But it's another thing to hear it on the personal level from someone that has lived it. This increases our level of empathy and understanding and strengthens intergenerational relationships. I've read essays that are thought-provoking, moving, and even profound. I've seen students who may not always excel academically write a winning essay. And I've seen parents and family members swell with pride when their students are celebrated by Rotary in the community. Rotary's facilitation of the contest increases its impact on the community. The Laws of Life Board recently revised our strategic plan. Our renewed vision is that the Georgia Laws of Life essay contest is in every Georgia high school with strong partnerships among Rotary, schools, and teachers to provide the opportunity for students to reflect upon their lives, express personal beliefs, and affirm strong character values through writing. Thank you, teachers and Rotarians, for your essential contributions in helping us make that vision a reality. Our Executive Director, Carol Walker, is up next. Please join me in welcoming Carol Walker.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, fellow Rotarians, our educators, teachers that are in the room, and our honored guests, both here with us at Loudermilk and those of you online. We really appreciate you being here. As Beth said, my role today is to present to you some of the nuts and bolts of the contest and share some of our success stories. But honestly, before I do that, I want to share a couple quick stories. A few quick stories. Last year, Alex invited me to dinner to meet some of his lifelong friends. Through the usual, nice to meet you, where are you from, what do you do? I shared with Ryan and Pam about the small statewide nonprofit that I manage. Oh my gosh, our son wrote one of those in high school. It was about his football injury. Their son wasn't a state winner. His son wasn't a school winner or even a grade winner, but they remembered his essay. I believe each of the 700,000 students that have written the Laws of Life essay in the past 21 years gained an understanding of their lives, a greater vision of their future goals, and maybe empathy between themselves, their classmates, and their families. In 2018, I joined Logan Clark, the state runner-up, on stage at the 6900 District Conference. Just before walking on stage, Logan shared with me that while often he had journaled about the death of his parents, telling his story through the lens of his Laws of Life essay changed his perspective. He realized that it's about your outlook on life. You can either regret or rejoice. And his aunt saw it too. She hugged me after his presentation and she said, "He's got his spirit back. I can see it in his eyes." I believe the family, friends, teachers of the student authors at the 72 partner schools and each of the 110 or so Rotarians that judged the essays this year, and all of the members at the 48 Rotary clubs that either read or heard student essays this past spring gained an insight to the struggles and victories of today's youth. I'm almost done. Before I introduce our next speaker, one more story. It wasn't long ago that I received a call from a mom who was desperately seeking a copy of her daughter's essay. The essay was about her grandfather who had recently become ill. Through our conversation, I learned that her daughter was now a mother and also a doctor. That essay was written over a decade ago. Sadly, I didn't have a copy of her essay to share. Over the past 21 years, as we've grown, we've developed a well-organized and very functional essay submission and judging process. Over $357,000 in awards have been given to students and teachers, approximately $20,000 every year. The system is paper and spreadsheet based. We do not have copies of the essays submitted, nor do we have an opportunity to stay in contact with our students to hear about their successes. This year, as in the past, the essay requirements, student and teacher awards, and the submission and judging timeline will remain the same. But I'm excited to announce this morning that with the help of a grant from the Templeton Foundation, we are investing in an online essay submission and judging platform. School contest chairs will be able to send their student essays electronically. We will be able to engage even more Rotarians and volunteers throughout the state in the judging process. And we will have the opportunity to build a student alumni association. We have contracted with Submittable, voted the best overall contest management platform in 2020 by Finance's Online Business Review. In December and January, we'll offer training to our school contest chairs and our volunteers. And come February, we'll be ready to receive essays electronically. We'll be ready to judge essays electronically. The online judging process will continue the volunteer interactions and discussions that we have now. We'll be able to hold group in-person judging sessions and virtual judging sessions. I believe this investment will make the contest and our organization even stronger, even more efficient, and able to engage more students. Joining us now from Submittable is Allie Solomon, our onboarding specialist. She's going to keep us busy over the next few months. Allie is joining us from Montana, so we're going to give Allie a moment to get set up, and then I'm going to turn things over to her.
Thank you, Carol. Just going to start sharing my screen. Well, as Carol mentioned, I'm Allie, and I'm really looking forward to helping Carol and her team get set up for the Laws of Life contest, which sounds so incredible, and I'm so happy to support and be part of your team. A little bit about Submittable. So we are a cloud-based submission management tool. Over 12,000 organizations in 171 countries use Submittable for their submission management needs. So you are in good company. The Rotary Club chose Submittable because we make it easy to collect and review and report on your essays. So let's take a little time to talk about how we do that. So I've created a sample essay contest form to show you how easy it is to apply. As you type, Submittable will automatically save a draft of your work. Everyone who fills out an application creates a free Submittable account. So, you know, they can start working on their application and then come back to it later. Since the school contest chairs will likely be filling out some of these forms, You'll undoubtedly have busy schedules, so being able to save those applications as you're going will help you pick up right where you left off. And then here's our success screen. So the review process. Many of you will also be using Submittable to read through essays and provide feedback. Submittable has a couple different ways of helping you evaluate and make decisions on essays. This next video will show you. Okay, so this is a view of the back end of Submittable where all of the essays will be stored. And this is a test essay I created. It's not actually an essay, it's a checklist for Submittable. But you can actually look at files without having to download them. And on the right side of the screen, you'll see we have a thumbs up, thumbs down basic voting tool. And we also have a rubric option that will be a more sophisticated review process using questions that you can answer, and the way that you answer those questions will have a weighted value. So here's just some examples. You know, is the essay based on personal experience or observation? You'll be able to see the essay on the left side of the screen, which is not an essay actually, but use your imaginations for a moment. And so you'll be able to have both the essay and the review rubric up on the screen at the exact same time. So the Rotary Club may use a combination of these two tools in the review process. So by moving to an online system, you'll spend less time looking for essays in your inbox or printing information out and having to keep track of where everything is. All the data will live in one spot. And our clients have reported that this saves them time because it's a more efficient way of managing your data. Lastly, this is not the last that you'll hear about Submittable. You will be, as Carol mentioned, participating, many of you, in some virtual trainings, maybe with me, maybe with Carol. But you also have access to Submittable's support team. We have folks available from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern who are going to be able to answer questions via email, via phone, and online chat. And we are the only submission management platform that also provides customer support to students. So anyone who's filling out an application will also have access if they run into any questions on the technical side of things. Submittable is here for you and for your students. So that's just a little bit about Submittable in a quick nutshell. On behalf of our company, I am really excited to support the important work that you're doing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ali. One of my takeaways from listening to her share about submittables is I wrote easier, like easier, efficiency, like efficiency, retainable. We like things that are easily retainable. And the very last thing I saw on the screen is happy. We like to be happy. So again, I want to thank Ali as well as those who preceded her. Carol, thank you for what you shared, to Beth and to our student Hampton for all of what you share with us thus far today. So I want to do a check-in to make sure you guys are okay here that's in this space and those of you who are there with us virtually. Is everybody okay? If you're okay, I like to engage with people. So if you're okay, if you're in church, you might wave your hand in the air. Yeah, virtually you can give us some thumbs up. Everybody's good? Yes, give yourselves a hand. We are at the midway of our program, and it's my pleasure to introduce to each of you our keynote speaker. and his name is Eric Saperston. I had the great pleasure of talking with Eric, getting a chance to get to know him just a little bit better. And I'll tell you this, it kind of left me in a wonder, and you'll know why very shortly. Join me as we receive virtually none other than our very own keynote speaker for today, Eric Saperston.
Aloha. My name is Eric Saperston. I grew up in San Diego, California. I went to San Diego State University. When I graduated, I decided to take a year off and follow the Grateful Dead and work a ski season in Aspen. Challenged by my mentor to make the trip more meaningful, I set off on a journey based on an old Chinese proverb: to know the road ahead, ask those coming back. I'd call up some of the most powerful people in the world and ask them out for a cup of coffee.
I am calling the former president of the United States.
So when I told my parents of my plans, they weren't too eager to fund it. So I had to come up with a creative way to keep the dream alive. So any of you folks take road trips, travel across America? Well, maybe you've seen me and not remembered. Because how I funded my trip is I would pull into rest areas with my Coleman stove, and I would sell sexy kind grilled cheese sandwiches made with love for $1. Well, guess what? People actually bought my sandwiches. And not only did they give me money, they also told me where I could go, in a good way. Places to visit, monuments to see, and they even gave me names and numbers of some of the most extraordinary people on the planet that I could call and take out for a cup of coffee. The reason? To find out the values they live by, the struggles they've endured, and what advice and counsel they would give to better prepare ourselves for the road ahead.
Your mind knows only some things. Your inner voice, your instinct knows everything.
I spent almost 4 years traveling across the country in a Volkswagen bus with 3 of my friends. We shot over 500 hours of footage, interviewed over 200 of the most extraordinary people on the planet.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, now get the hell out of here.
John Steinbeck has a great quote. He said, "Sometimes you take a trip, and sometimes the trip takes you." Well, this trip has taken me well beyond anything I had imagined. And now I find myself in Maui, Hawaii, with one prime directive: to inspire the world to live in wonder.
Aloha, are you folks there? Oh, you can see me. I didn't even realize you can see me. Oh, this is fantastic. Hello, everybody. Yay. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. It is 6:36 in the morning here in Maui, Hawaii. And, as I'm thinking about this morning, and you mentioned my lady, Sarah, Sarah and I rate the quality of our relationship based on how many sunrises we've seen together. I mean, anybody can see a sunset, but sunrises are something special. And I was thinking about how, even though you folks have already seen your sunrise, I'm excited to share my sunrise with you this morning. I'm looking out right now at the ocean as the sun is starting to come up, and I'm just delighted to be with everyone here today. One of my favorite sayings is, when you drink the water, remember who dug the well. And I was thinking about today, because I really genuinely am moved to be here. Rotary has played such an important part of my life. I'm just so grateful for it. It has dug so many wells that so many of us get to drink from. I came in, as you saw in that video, I traveled all around the country interviewing people with this desire to bridge a gap between young people and elders. And I set off from San Diego and I went across the country, and I was in Florida visiting my parents. And then I was on my way up to New York to go talk to successful people. And through a range of serendipity, I found myself going into Atlanta, Georgia, which I got to be honest, Georgia was never really on my mind growing up in San Diego. But all of a sudden, since I'm on the East Coast, I was just following a trail of inspiring breadcrumbs, and they led me to Atlanta. And when I got to Atlanta, Georgia, I remembered that when I was in high school, I was more of a troubled kid. I spent most of my life in the principal's office and graduated in the half that made the top half possible. So I feel pretty good about that in high school. But then I went on to college, where I finally started to want to learn. And I sat in the front row, and I started to listen and pay attention, and became a student body president and a fraternity president and a resident advisor. And I even became the president of my Rotaract Club when I was in college. And one of the promises of the Rotaract Club was that, hey, if I ever went anywhere in the world and wanted to go get a free lunch or a breakfast, I could do that. And so as a guy who's traveling in his Volkswagen bus selling grilled cheese sandwiches at rest stops and cruising, I thought a free lunch sounded like a great idea. And if I wanted to meet extraordinary people and take them out for coffee, a Rotary was a great place to do that. So when I came into Atlanta, Georgia, I called the local Rotary office and said, hey, is there any Rotary lunches going on? And they said, yeah, there's one happening at Ansley Park at the Country Club on Tuesday. You should go to that one. And so I rolled in my VW bus and I parked my bus across the 18th fairway there. And in between the golfers, I let out my golden retriever, Jack, and I started to throw my Frisbee out on the fairway so my dog would run and jump off 4 paws and catch the Frisbee and jump down. And I kind of tired him out and gave him a little bowl of water. And then I walked into this Rotary meeting. Well, as fate would have it, somebody at the door said, hey, are you that guy in that Volkswagen bus? And I said, yeah. And I go, why don't you come sit next to me? And so we sat down and we started talking, and he asked me about my life and what I was doing. And I told him my plans to bridge a gap between young people and elders, and that I was traveling and selling grilled cheese sandwiches and my background and whatnot. And it turns out that the guy that I was talking to was the head of the Martin Luther King National Commission for Service with Coretta Scott King. And he said, you know, we've got a conference coming up, and I would like for you to be the keynote speaker and welcome the 500 new AmeriCorps volunteers. And I said, wow, that's incredible. So here I am living in my Volkswagen bus, tent camping and traveling. And then now I'm being invited to address all these amazing people at this conference. And to my right, when I was sitting there, I got a chance to meet Congressman John Lewis, who was also attending and speaking at the conference. And I ended up interviewing him. And one of the great lessons that he had shared with me that I still hold true in my heart today is he said, you know what, Eric, if you pray, move your feet. If you pray, move your feet. So it's really easy to have desires and dreams and aspirations in this world, but what separates the doers and the dreamers is action. You got to move your feet. And I appreciated that message so much. And in the audience that night as well was the director of the FBI, Bill Sessions. And I went over to Bill Sessions and I said, hey, do you mind if I interview you? And he said, well, I live in Texas, and we don't have time to do it here, but if you get to Texas, come and see me. And I said, okay, great. So our journey, when it left Atlanta, we meandered around the country. We were gone for 4.5 years. So we went through many, many states. And when we got to Texas, I ended up calling up the director of the FBI, Bill Sessions. And then we sat down and had an interview. And when I talked to him, I said, hey, you know, what's the greatest lesson that you've learned about life? And he said, you know what, Eric, that in life, like a journey, you know, it's constantly revealing new things. We are all on a journey. He said, matter of fact, Winnie the Pooh was on a journey, and journeys into life are magical. And I thought, did the director of the FBI just quote Winnie the Pooh? And he did. But it was super fun. He was talking about the journey and how journeys are revealing and to pay attention. That was his big message. Just that, hey man, all of us are on a journey, and the way to succeed in it is to pay attention and to be present, because they're always just unfolding in magical ways if we're there to bear witness to it. So at the end of that interview with Bill Sessions, I turned to him and I said, you know, because he's the director of the FBI, I'm like, hey man, I'm not sure, but do you have any friends? And he said he did have friends, and it turns out that he was friends with a governor. He's a staunch Republican, but one of his dear friends was Republican, or sorry, he's a staunch Republican, but one of his dear friends is Governor Ann Richards of Texas. That was back when Democrats and Republicans still talked to each other. But back then, so I said, you know, do you have any friends? And he said, I'm going to introduce you to Governor Ann Richards. And I had this crazy idea. We were interviewing all these iconic people and amazing people. Governor Richards, phenomenal, one of the fierce, you know, female Democrats, governors in a state of red, of Republicans. She was the advocate for education, advocate for women, just one of the most incredible women I've ever met in my life. And I thought, I don't know, it's a crazy idea that let's do this interview over a game of checkers. I don't know why I thought that, but so we brought in a checkerboard and we sat down and we started playing checkers. And I said, hey, Governor Richards, what advice do you have to young people? And she said, well, let me share. She said, let me answer that. Instead of what advice I have here, I'm going to say what I want to tell young people to live a better life. She said, you know, young people, we're always taught, all of us are taught to know the kings and queens of England, the names of presidents, the dates on which certain things happened in our lives. But she said, you know, this core of who we are, this business of introspection. Who am I? What am I about? I'm only going to live on this planet for a little bit, and how am I going to live it? That's what truly matters. This knowing of what our values are, what our principles are, what pushes and drives us to do what we do. That's going to be the most important thing that we can learn. And that's what you folks are helping to teach right now, is really amazing values, which is really at the core of our essence. That is what pushes and drives us to accomplish what we do. Life changes, circumstances change, but our core values don't. They're principles. And you folks are tapping into that in this program, which I think is extraordinary. So Governor Richard says, hey, that it's this core of who we are. That's what's really important to live. That's what really matters, is to take the time late at night when it's just you and me and we're quiet, to really listen to ourselves and figure out what it is that governs our lives. What is our rudder to our boat? And at the end of my interview with Governor Richards, I said, hey, do you have any friends? And she said, yes. She goes, are you by chance going to California? And I said, we're heading west now. And she said, oh, great. I want you to go interview a good friend of mine, Henry Winkler. And I went, wow, that's cool. The guy from Happy Days? Yeah. She goes, oh, he's a dear friend of mine and a sweetheart. You should go interview him. So we went to the Disney lot where he had his office, and we sat down for our first big Hollywood interview. And I asked Henry Winkler, I said, what advice and counsel would you give to young people to better prepare ourselves for the road ahead? And what Winkler said was so insightful. He said, hey, you know what? That what's most important is to listen to what you know instinctively to be true. If you trust your own intuition, it will always lead you down the right path. And I thought, man, I mean, what's better than that? The Fonz is saying it's cool to follow your intuition. Right? That is something that in this world, somehow we don't, like, that's amazing to me how very few people trust their own intuition, yet it is our intuition that always will lead us down the right path. And at the end of my interview with Henry Winkler, I said, man, do you have any friends? And of course he turned around and said, I want to introduce you to a dear friend of mine, Billy Crystal. And so we got a chance to go across town and go meet Billy Crystal, comedian. And we sat down with him and we said, hey man, what advice and counsel would you give to young people? And what Billy Crystal said was so insightful back then and still now. He said, we're all very powerful people. All of us are. Everyone that's listening, we are powerful human beings. And he said, look, it is easy as human beings to give our power away to somebody else or to some outside circumstance. But he said, the real goal here is not to give your power away, because once you give your power away to anything else, then you're done. He said right now, especially with the news and the media and the political upheaval and the civil unrest and all the things that are happening in this world, it is easy to give our power away to something else. But in this time, it is best that we reclaim our personal power and not give it away. And then at the end of that interview with Billy Crystal, I said, who else should we talk to? And Billy Crystal and Henry Winkler collaborated to introduce us to ICM, which is the head of one of the top talent agencies in the world. And then they introduced us to the head of Disney. And then through a great range of just absolute fun and joy and pain and suffering and trials and tribulations, we took a journey that landed us to Disney. And Disney ended up telling us that what we were doing was making a movie. And they ended up giving us some resources. And we ended up taking our footage. We had shot 500 hours of footage, went into a studio for a year, and then came out with a 90-minute feature film. We sold our film at Sundance, at one South by Southwest, and played in theaters all across the country, called The Journey. The Journey has inspired millions of people now all over the world. That has led to touring with rock stars and giving speeches and writing a couple of books and inventing a game, doing leadership consulting for top organizations and helping their leaders become more effective communicators and live more fulfilling lives. And I've continued my journey now for the last 25 years, still studying and interviewing extraordinary people It is one of my greatest passions is to look for commonalities of what enable everyday people to live extraordinary lives. I'm often asked by people, what is the greatest lesson? You've had access to kings and presidents and Olympic athletes and rock stars and CEOs. As you study their values, what do you think is the commonality? What is the thing that unites all of them? And it's taken me many years to figure that out. Like, what is it that is the common theme of people that live extraordinary lives? And this is what we've discovered. And this is one of the greatest epiphanies, I think, in my life, is that what we discovered is that the people who are able to change the world, change their families, change their communities, the ones that are able to stand for something extraordinary and make it happen, the ones that are inspiring to be around, the people who are just vibrating at a frequency that all of us feel and sense and just know that that person is living their life's purpose. And the commonality that unites all those people is that they're living in wonder. In a world that has become so cynical and so jaded and so frustrated, the opposite is what ignites a powerful spirit. It is coming from a sense of wonder and awe and marvel and astonishment is what enables people to produce extraordinary results. It seems so strange and almost counterintuitive, but every person on this planet was born with a sense of wonder. Wonder is our birthright. We all grew up going, why? Why this? We were curious, we were playful, we were interactive, we weren't so self-conscious, we weren't so judgmental, we were in the moment with a childlike sense of curiosity. We were lifelong learners, we were going for it, we were willing to try new things, we were willing to experiment, we were willing to be fully self-expressed. And then society comes along and starts to kind of just knock the wind out of us. It starts to tell us that we need to grow up, we need to get serious, we need to stop being so curious, we need to stop asking questions, we need to come across like we know what we're talking about. And all of a sudden, there's a whole lot of people stuck in this middle of pretending that they're solid and serious and secure and they know what's happening. And all that is just a huge trap. Because the people who have gone on to live extraordinary lives, they never bought into that idea. They maintained their childlike sense of wonder. They kept playing. And that is my invitation for you all, and for me included, for all of us, to reclaim our sense of wonder. Especially now, this world is cuckoo. There is just, I don't even know what's going to happen. And none of us know what's going to happen next. We've never known what's going to happen next. So the best thing that we can possibly do is stay in a sense of wonder, to pay attention, to allow things to unfold, to trust ourselves, to be present, and to know that who we are is enough, and that if we remain open, then anything is possible. To remain in a childlike sense of wonder. George Bernard Shaw said, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." To recap, one of my favorite sayings, when you drink the water, remember who dug the well. If you're going to pray, move your feet. Journeys into life are constantly revealing new things, so pay attention. Governor Richard said that it's what's deep inside of us that truly matters. We're only going to be in this life for a short amount of time, and how are we going to live it? That's what's most important, asking ourselves the tough questions. Henry Winkler said, "Trust your instincts. It will always lead you right." Billy Crystal said, "Never give your power away to anything else, anything or anyone, because once you give your power away, then it's over. So maintain your personal power, your personal integrity." And lastly, the best way to get up excited and go to bed fulfilled is to live in wonder. Thank you so much. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you all. I think what you're doing is extraordinary, and I'd love to take some questions.
We're going to seize this opportunity to extend the opportunity for some questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Eric, sure enjoyed that words of wisdom. Thank you so much. And I am so impressed of your Rotary involvement. How neat. Let me ask you, Eric, what can Rotary clubs do to help support the program?
What I would like to ask of the Rotary is that, one, you're right. I'm so grateful to have been a part of Rotary and to have been to Rotary meetings all over the world now. And I think it's one of the most extraordinary organizations. I think to have fellowship and to build community and to help support each other is such a priceless thing, to not be isolated and to come together for good reasons and to make a difference in the world. And you folks are doing that. And this program is one of those ways that I'm just in tremendous awe and gratitude for you all. So my invitation for Rotary is to continue to get behind this program. This program is so important. You know, there's, like Governor Richard said, we're here to learn we get taught the names and, you know, kings and queens of England and dates and things like that. That's great learning. But to ask people questions, to give people an opportunity to discover stories, to transform stories, to look for the lessons that they've learned from challenging times. All these things are so great. I mean, critical thinking is really what I think is missing in our culture today. And you folks are sponsoring and being a part of a program that is all about that. So I think my wrap up on that is continue to fund programs like this, get them in the schools, and then keep bringing students to come to your Rotary meetings and share their essays. It's such a profound experience, not only for you to see the impact of your dollar and what you're investing in, but to give students an opportunity to get up and speak in front of a room and to articulate themselves and share what's important to them. Those moments will be incredible learning opportunities, and will be something that they'll draw upon forever. So when I said at the very beginning of this conversation, one of my favorite sayings, when you drink the water, remember who dug the well. And for all of you at Rotary, for all of you here on the board of Laws of Life, for everyone that has their hands and hearts and minds into this project, I really want to tip my hat and just acknowledge you all for creating something that is extraordinary.
One more question?
I think I already know the answer. You've said it a couple of times, and I want to say thank you so much for your presentation, because it has been very, very touching and very inspiring, and I've taken a lot of notes, so thank you for that. But what is the law of life that you live by?
Oh, great. You know, the one that popped into my head as you asked that question is another Georgian, although I've been all over. And, you know, my latest interview is with Woody Harrelson, and we met Weird Al Yankovic, and I got a chance to sit by a campfire and interview Kenny Rogers just before he passed. And, you know, we just continued to interview just amazing people. And there's so many, everybody. One of the things that we believe here and on our journey is that we meet no ordinary people. When given the opportunity, everyone has something extraordinary to contribute. And I believe that that's true. And I believe that even the people that I've met who are extraordinary are really everyday people. They're really just normal people who just happen to live by a set of guiding principles and live out their values and are of service and are lifelong learners. And they could be experts, but they're not. They remain students. But the one that popped into my head, I guess, is the one that is the law of life that I still live by, that I feel is just super important. Came to me from President Jimmy Carter, another Georgian. I had never met a president before, and I got a chance to meet him, and it was such a privilege. I got a chance to go to the mock Oval Office at the Carter Center, and we sat down, and I had asked President Carter, you know, what is your greatest concern facing, you know, young people today? And he said, well, I don't even think it's young people. I think it's just everybody. He said that, you know, what I want to remind, and this is, I guess, the law of life for me, is to never, and this is what he said, to never, ever underestimate the power of the individual to make a difference. He said it's easy to become cynical and jaded It's easy to become disillusioned, dismayed, frustrated, angry. It's easy to shut down and just think to yourself, I don't count, I don't matter, what I say doesn't matter. And just, it looks so chaotic out there and so just, just give up. That's what it feels like. I just want to give up. And he said, no, don't do that. He said, never underestimate the power of the individual to make a difference. It's always the individual who has the courage to make a stand in the world and speak their possibility out into it. Speak their possibility. Say, I have a dream. We're going to the moon. Something, just to be able to declare what it is that's deep inside and go for it, even if people resist, even if people second guess it, even if people doubt it. But if it is what is true inside of you and you're being called to go do it, keep speaking it into the world. And you folks have been doing that now for years. This program, this Georgia Laws of Life, is such a powerful declaration that you are speaking into existence. That is so beautiful. It is so amazing to watch the ripples of this impact, to watch how people's lives are transformed. I just want to from the greatest amount of love and sincerity that I have is I just want to thank all of you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for administering this. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for asking questions. My journey changed because a mentor asked me a question. A mentor said, hey, you're going to go travel around the country and have a great time, but what can you do on this trip to make it more meaningful? That question changed my life because it was that question that set me off on asking people out for coffee. You folks are posing questions and giving people an opportunity to write answers and to take challenging experiences in their life and transform them. I just thank you so much for what you're doing. Continue doing it. And please call on me if there's anything I can do to ever be of support. Please come to ericsaperston.com and send a note about how you felt about the presentation or how I can continue to be of service. And just thank you, and thank you again for this wonderful program and for my opportunity to be here today with you all. The sun has come up and it's going to be a glorious day.
I want to thank you, Eric, on behalf of all of us here, for such an inspirational message. I too took notes, and as you're sharing the different things that you share, one that resonated so much with me is who we are is enough. And I think that if our children can hear that over and over and over again, no matter what schools they go to, no matter what their genders are, no matter what color they are, that who we are, every single one of us, is enough. And I thank you, Eric, in the amazing, wonderful way that you share it and that you say it. You remind us of the importance of every single individual taking that journey. So I want you to know that we appreciate you taking the time to engage in Q&A. And I want you to know that we look forward to staying connected to you and your lovely lady, Sarah. Until we meet again, we will remain in touch with you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.